Hey,
This
Mike.
conference will now be recorded.
Sorry about that, but go ahead.
I
Didn't mean to
think
throw you off.
the compelling part, the thing that will stick out to people here is that we had run an email out about 6 months ago around multi-factor authentication.
Yeah,
And several of our clients engaged with our CAMs, and one client pushed back and said, "This is a nothing burger." His words, not mine. I don't even know. But he said, "This is a nothing burger. Why would I pay for this?" Like, not understanding that there's time associated with implementing something like this. And when we sent this email out, he followed up again and said, "Is this a requirement? Is this something that I must do?" And we wrote back, "Well, it depends on your insurance company. But we're seeing enough customers make this request now that we're encouraging our other clients to be proactive. And that's the purpose behind the email." And he said, "Great, let's send me a quote." So this is a guy that went from nothing burger to send me a quote.
And just so I was clear on this, Michael, this was all the 4 form inquiries you got from the your service desk was all around cybersecurity insurance application as opposed to some other kind of compliance program, right? So this was all directly related to insurance.
Yeah, this was all, again, we had 4 or 5 clients that sent us their requirement sheet from their cyber insurance company saying, "Please fill this out." And one of the things that we saw that wasn't being checked off for many of them was MFA across all platforms.
Yeah, so I think the couple things just for background, just for my sake actually, is my understanding is that now cybersecurity insurance is going to be much more difficult to get this year than is supposed to last year. So renewal is a big deal, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, renewal is a big deal because these insurance companies are in the business of making money.
Yes.
So they probably took a bath last year because so many small business owners weren't prepared, and they had to pay a lot more claims than they anticipated. So as the insurance industry does periodically, it refined its requirements, and it's being much more specific now.
I think the interesting thing, I was just talking to Marissa's company, the owner and the sales leader there, and they said that one of their big clients actually got turned down for insurance this year until they came back and had them fill out the form for them. So it seems, so I said, I've talked to the people at Travelers a little bit too. So just for everybody's sake, it's much more, it's going to be much more stringent requirements to get common, the same level of insurance that you even had previously, let alone if you want to get more. And then 2 is that even though you picked up on multi-factor authorization, there's a range of things that they're actually requiring now, of which multi-factor authorization was only one of them.
Yeah, they're getting a checklist that says, have you done these 10 things? And I'm oversimplifying.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
The sheet they're being asked to fill out. And most people are checking no to most of the boxes.
Yeah, and I think what you'll see in those things too are it's most of your traditional security things like firewalls and all that stuff. But I saw, at least in the Travelers ones, that they're requiring multi-factor authorization in helping with the term, Michael. It's endpoint detection, whatever that thing's called, so that all your endpoint
response.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually being added to some of the stuff. So to the this marketing group in general, it's cybersecurity is insurance is proving to be a catalyst for people to buy security, basically, to buy the security stack. And in effect, when you start to look at the questions they're asking on these applications, it aligns very well with the kind of stacks that most people are selling, right? So they ask if you do phishing, what's they call fish tests. They ask if you're doing training for people about how to change their passwords. They're asking policy and procedure stuff. So that one application, honestly, you can create a whole bunch of pain around security in a way that hadn't existed previously. I think the second thing that's important is if they don't answer it correctly, they can actually be at risk for if somebody hacks them, that they won't qualify for the insurance.
Oh, absolutely. If
yeah.
you say that you have A in place and you go and file a claim and you can't prove that you have it or had it in place when the breach happened, then your claim is denied.
Yeah, and it's I'm seeing it all across. That's one benefit I have from talking to all people. I'm seeing it across the board that it's actually becoming far more stringent everywhere. And I think when Rich Keeney was on, I don't know if he was on with this group, but he was talking about how it's even driving business within like law firms and bigger corporate, banks and stuff like that with him. So has anybody else tried to do anything around cyber insurance? It looks like Sean. How about you?
We have. Yeah, we have too. We work with DataStream, which is a cyber insurance company. The first thing we did is we did a like a webinar, but actually it was just more of a chat of the changes and everything that was going on with cyber insurance and the requirements. So we had that. We did that first with our clients. And what we offered with that is a free review of their current cyber insurance plan right now that they have.
Good idea.
So, yeah, because a lot of them are thinking, oh, I've got it, I don't have to do anything. Well, what they don't realize, there are some changes and they're not reviewing it. So we use that as an opportunity for DataStream to review their plan. And if there's changes that they needed to do, then DataStream let them know. Then they worked with us, and that's where we got some things changed on their end. Then we use that as a talk that we sent out to current prospects and stuff to be able to talk about cyber insurance. We have an actual landing page on our website that is with DataStream. That we use because it's got all the information that is really needed for the cyber insurance information.
And so DataStream is an insurance provider or broker?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Yeah, they're great. They're very passionate, I will tell you this. They're very passionate about cyber insurance, and they're great to work with. I recommend them. They're very easy to talk to. Andy and his team are just great to work with. So, but yeah, so we've done that, and it has helped us with our current clients. We get a lot of questions about cyber insurance because most people think, oh, I really don't need that. We came up with the idea, it's life insurance for your business.
Very good.
Life insurance for your business, and it's working. Because you want life insurance for yourself, for your family, and stuff like that. It's the same thing. It is the same thing because that's where the problems are, is cyber.
And did you? So two quick questions. Did the on the client side, did it lead to discussions around them adding security to the stack when they didn't have it before?
Yes. Okay. It also pushed, we had a client, we had been pushing a lot of cyber because there were some issues that they were having, and we were pushing it. This and their security insurance actually sealed the deal of making those changes that needed to happen. Because they were like, oh, no, I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to spend the money. Well, what they realized is if they don't have it in place, their cyber insurance is nothing. It's not going to do anything for you. So it really sealed the deal on moving those security aspects forward.
And then what was the sales motion on the prospective clients that you didn't have to do anything with? Was it, hey, we fill out your cyber insurance form with you, and then?
So what we do is my landing page is connected to DataStream. So what they do is they go on our website, they click on the form and the number, and it connects to DataStream. They work with DataStream directly, and whatever happens from that, DataStream comes back to us and lets us know.
Oh, okay.
So if it's a prospect, because that was the big thing, is we offered their services and their current plan to be reviewed. That was an offer that we did. And a lot of them are not doing that because they just want they don't want to even do that. So that was an offer that we gave that DataStream wanted to do.
When
Just
they go to DataStream, are they applying for insurance, or are they getting assessment of their current policy?
assessment of their current policy is first. If
Yeah.
they don't have a policy, then they work with, they get to know what they need. And that's when they come back sometimes after we've already pushed it. If it's a prospect, they come back to us and asking more questions.
Okay.
It opens the door to questions, that's for sure.
And so just I'm curious, when DataStream does the assessment, are they like accessing their network and seeing how many points they have? You know, are they actually like doing the same kind of network assessment we would do, or is it they're assessing?
They're
They're
just
basically assessing the policy, I guess.
Yeah, they're assessing the policy first.
Yeah.
And then when they go back and say, okay, you're not covered for this particular thing, like MFA or anything, like there's different levels of that. Then they come back and say, you do not have, your policy is not covering this. So if this happens, you're not going to be covered. Okay. And some of them had issues with not being able to pay out or anything like that.
Yeah.
DataStream has been able to help them because a lot of them, their policies were not covering what they thought it was covering.
I'm with you.
Yeah, which is common apparently in the
No,
cyber insurance world.
That's the whole definition of the insurance business. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so just it's clear in my mind. So they're getting an assessment of their policy and what their exposures are based on their policy.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what does DataStream get out of it then? Does they get then the chance to sell them insurance?
They do. That's an opportunity for them. But their biggest thing is they really want to educate people on cyber insurance because that is one thing that is not really a big dive into. In fact, I was talking to Robin's team and we were talking about cyber insurance. And that was one of the things I introduced them to Andy because they only had one cyber insurance on their whole platform for Robin's to deal with.
Okay.
And I introduced them to Andy, and Andy has been at their last 3 shows that they've been done. So Andy's been able to talk more about actually what cyber insurance is and what it really does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Henry? How about you, Henry? What have you been doing? You still there? Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, we're actually working with insurance companies right now as a sales tool, and we do what we call a cyber insurance checkup, and that's really where we review their policy application, and basically what we do is we identify what their commitments are. We scan their network, and then we're going to validate soft requirements like user training. And then we compare our findings with their commitments, identify gaps, and then we've created a one-page checkup report. Not really a detailed assessment with a roadmap. It's more like a one-page report. And then that's going to kind of give them an idea of where they stand in terms of are they in compliance with their policy. And basically what we do from there is we would give them separate proposals for remediation services, our managed services offering, and our managed compliance services. So it's kind of a sales tool where we say, hey, look, these are all the things that we found. This is where you're not in compliance with your policy, and we can help you with it. And oh, by the way, your current IT company is not helping you on any of this stuff. So it's kind of a way in the door.
Yeah. So let me just run through it so I get it too. So is it so it's you and an cyber insurance company?
Yeah, so we
basically.
Yeah, so we partner with some of the local insurance companies here in Sarasota, and basically, you know, for them, what the benefits that they're getting out of it is it can help them bring on new clients as a value-added service. So when they're looking to bring on a new client and say, hey, why don't you fill out this application, and then we can have SouthTech validate whether you're actually in compliance with what you say you're doing. And it'll help them bring on new clients. Number 2, it can help them upsell existing clients where maybe they don't have enough insurance coverage. So we can, when we're doing our assessment, we say, okay, well, you have a risk of $5 million. You only have $1 million policy. Guess what? You need to buy $4 million more coverage.
And is it your work that identifies that numeric risk, or is that?
Yeah, we have tools that can, based on how much data is that we found that is, a liability. So we look at how much liability they have in terms of what type of data, and you can put a numeric number to that, and the insurance companies use similar tools.
Okay, and then the actual network assessment you do, is it just using your traditional kind of tools that you would use doing a network assessment?
Yeah, I think the bigger part of it is because a lot of those tools are not going to be able to validate by just doing a network assessment. A lot of them you're going to have a conversation with them, and you're going to have to ask them. So things like, are you providing security awareness training for all of your users? That's not something you're going to validate.
That's what you refer to as a soft assessment, right? Yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
Who does that? Is that your service? Is it something that?
Yeah, we have. So when we get one of the leads, we'll assign a project manager, and then we have a data analyst. So those are kind of two roles. So typically we'll have the project manager schedule an interview with the prospect where they'll go over kind of the soft requirements, and then we'll schedule a separate assessment where we go in and we look at the network, and we'll run our tools on the actual network.
And then then you said that leads to 1 to 3 proposals, basically. So have you actually gotten clients out of doing this over the past year or two, or for as long as?
No, we just actually started the process. Okay. So it's still we actually just got our first one last week, or the end of the week before that. So we're actually walking through the process. We just kind of kicked it off about a month ago with one of the insurance companies, and we said, hey, let's take it slow for now. We'll run through 1 or 2 to start, and then we'll see how those go. So
I was going to ask too, is what's the time investment in the assessment and the soft, basically the assessment, both kind of hard coded and the soft? How much time do you invest in that?
We're estimating the whole thing is probably going to take somewhere between 6 to 10 hours.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so but we do have specific requirements in the size of the company that we're going to do them for, the type of companies that we're going to do them for. Like, we're not going to do this for 5-person, little mom and pop shop. It has to be a sizable, potential client, where the idea is we're going to find things when we do this assessment that we can show them, say, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on here that you probably weren't aware of. And hey, let's talk about bringing you guys on as a client because we can help you here, here, and here. And actually, as part of that, as part of our questions, so we built out like a document that we can go through for like a checklist. And then as part of that checklist, it's questions that are specific to the applications that the insurance providers have them fill out for the cyber insurance. But then we also throw in our kind of pre-sales questions, things that we look at during like a pre-sales assessment anyway. So we'll look at those things too, and we'll ask them about those things. Like, for example, we use the Evolve application, and within that application, there's specific control families that we go through. Like, is there DNS filtering? Is there multi-factor authentication set up on all email accounts? Do they maintain daily offline backups on all critical data? But then we also have questions that aren't asked on that application, like, are you bound by any other compliance requirements? Is there what's the current email solutions you have in place? What remote access methods are in place? Are those secured with MFA? Are all your workstations running current versions of Windows operating systems? So things like that are not specific questions on the application, but those are things that we want to look for, because if we find that when we do our assessment and we find that all of their workstations aren't running the current version of Windows, then we're going to have a conversation around that. Or all servers running current versions of the server OS, or all laptops and desktops encrypted. So those are things that may not be on that cyber insurance application, but those are all talking points that we would have during a pre-sales assessment that we would normally do anyway. So we kind of use that as kind of a way to get into those questions and have those conversations with them as we would if we were just having kind of that pre-sales conversation.
And so you think it's worth it so far?
I think so. Because we would do an assessment. So when we're in pre-sales with a potential client, we're going to do that assessment anyway. We're just adding additional kind of questions that are specific to their cyber insurance application that we normally wouldn't necessarily be looking at. But because there are certain baseline questions on the application that if those things aren't in place, then it's going to be very difficult for them to even get approved for their application. But then there's also other things that we want to make sure that they're aware of, and those things are in place. Just as, you know, good security measures. And if those things aren't in place, like if there are password policies, you know, if there's no password policies in place, and we can show them, hey, you need to have password policies in terms of length, complexity, expiration, you know, number of attempts before it gets locked out. If they don't have things like that, then that's a talking point that we have right away, but that's not necessarily something that's asked in the application. So the way we look at it is, hey, we're probably going to do, you know, 5 hours worth of work when we're doing a proposal and we're putting this stuff together for any prospect that comes into, you know, walks in the door anyway. So if we throw in an extra hour or two just to make sure that they're in compliance with their application, then it's potentially worth it, you know, as a pre-sales tool. So that's kind of the way we're looking at it.
That's pretty evolved, actually. So I guess bottom line, you think it's worth, you would recommend.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is, we're getting the leads from the insurance companies. They're bringing them to us now, and we're not actually going out and hunting for them. So we're just getting that relationship in place. We're selling it to the insurance company. And again, we're just at the beginning of it. You know, I can talk to you 3 months from now and say it was a roaring failure, but that's kind of the idea of you know what we thought. And this is kind of actually the starting point as we move into compliance and doing more assessments. So we're looking to do CMMC assessments where, you know, in a cyber insurance policy, there's probably about 20 to 30 different controls that we're looking at. And if you're looking at a CMMC pre-assessment, you're looking at 120 controls. Those are paid assessments typically, and we're gonna be asking to them to pay for those types of pre-assessments. But we figured, you know, doing this as kind of a starting point and getting our processes in place around these checkups where we could use these as kind of another sales tool is kind of the first step in terms of moving towards doing like CMMC compliance audits and pre-assessments and things like that. So
that's very cool. Okay, so I was going to ask, well, Sean, is that website that you referred to that goes to data stream? Mm-hmm. Is that something that other people can look at? Is it a public site?
Yep, I just put it into the chat.
Thank you. And I was going to say, similarly, Henry, do you have any like web references?
I was hoping if Henry could, if you'd be willing to share his process once he has it in place.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to him. But if is that something you'd be willing to share, Henry, or is?
Share. I'm sorry. What?
Go ahead,
your process of going through this, because it's very detailed, and the checklisting is very interesting to me that I would like to see if you're willing to share. That's all.
Yeah, so we're still kind of building out those tools as we go. I mean, I have like kind of an idea of what that stuff looks like, but I have people on my team that are actually, because we're kind of building this out on the fly because we got a lead quicker than we were actually prepared for. So, which is good because the insurance company was very gung ho for it. So we're building that out. So I probably won't have like, you know, official stuff for another couple of weeks. but I can kind of I can give you some like documentations around or some documentation around kind of what it looks like and what our ideas around that is.
Well, that's it, that because I'm working kind of on the same thing right now.
Mhm.
So I was just like, oh, I wonder if you'd be willing to share, and maybe when I get mine, I could share it with you. We could probably compare and maybe put something together. Maybe just a thought.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
I'll just leave it up for you guys to hook up.
Yeah,
via
and then
email.
maybe if we get kind of if
Yeah.
we built something out together, then maybe we could share it with the group.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great, Henry.
Okay, I wanted to shift gears just for a second here, and I sent you guys all this thing. Hopefully it'll come up. It's this way. All right, you gotta get back here. There. I gotta share my screen. I think it may be time to shift to a different kind of. All right, why is it not letting me do this? All right, it's not letting me share for some reason. Let me share a screen. Yeah, I need to share. Sorry about this. How's that? Can you guys see that now? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what we're trying to do here, and we can collaborate on this as we go along. But basically, at the last SCP meeting, we decided everybody wants to do, there's a benefit to everybody taking an intentional, proactive approach to selling co-managed, promoting and selling co-managed services. And it's a big push throughout the industry. And I think in general, I haven't seen anybody do a good job in it yet. So we just decided within SCP, what we're going to do is get together a little working group and start to develop basically a campaign, and then share that with you guys and the other members of STP and get your contributions on it. Well, so this was the very first. So what I try to do in this document with working with people is just say in one piece of paper, or like one page or page and a half, it turns out to be. What is the basic business case for what we're calling co-managed? And let's together work on this over time to make this as crisp and as clear and as compelling as we can. But so I just want to show you what's here and then ask you guys to kind of read and improve and can send me back edits. We can figure out how to do that technologically. But basically, when we got down to it, we started looking through the different, what generally happens is most MSPs will have anywhere from 6 to 10 co-managed clients, but each of them, in almost 100% of those cases, they found us. Like we didn't intentionally go out and target them. We didn't intentionally go out and actually create those opportunities. They just kind of came to our website, called us, and as we went through the sales process, it kind of turned into what we're calling co-managed. But basically, what we found, and I know Sean, you've done some work around here too, so I appreciate your input. But basically, what we found is the pain generally is on the business side of a company, like at the CFO level or the operations level. And what they generally find is that they have an IT department of literally 1 or 2 people that just ends up spending all of their time kind of fighting fires and just kind of maintaining the network and not really making as much progress on kind of new projects, new applications, new technology, things that would have kind of a value added or kind of have a stronger business impact than what they're working on. So we got these pain points here that we identified across the group, which is basically critical work doesn't get done. End users are being affected by not having enough capacity to be responsive and be supportive. They can't get new stuff done. And basically over time, it's kind of these things where it's the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. And what it says is it's the leadership of the company gets frustrated. They don't feel like they want to keep throwing money after hiring kind of IT person after IT person to add capacity. So basically what we decided was the term like co-managed doesn't mean anything, right? it in fact some way kind of confuses you because you've got to try to understand what the term means and then figure out like what the benefit is. And what we're testing out is whether it just makes sense to say you should outsource your network management to us. Right. It's interesting looking at Lucy there. I remember Doug had somebody call him up, and it was actually her owner. It was a guy from Ohio who I think was a investor, and basically was in the holding company, was managing a lot of the acquisitions they made. And he asked Doug a series of questions that were precisely along this line, right? Is like, what is it that you guys do that's going to free up the time of my internal IT people so they can do more important work, right? It's fundamentally what we offer when we offer outsource in general, when we offer network management outsourcing. So what we do there, and I'll let you guys read it, and you can, like I say, I hope you can make some comments, make some refinements and improvements for it. But I think what's going on here? What we're trying to do there is just make it clear about what it is we actually do for people. Right? So when you say the word co-manage, you know, when we say the word, when we're trying to sell co-manage, what is it that we're actually doing? Well, what it turns out we're doing is we're taking away a category of work from the internal IT department, and we're putting that on us. And it's basically the reason you would do that, you want to do that with us, is that's all we do, right? We actually have very bring capacity, expertise, and state-of-the-art tool. Our core competency is we manage networks all the time for a whole bunch of companies, right? So it's much more efficient. It's much more, we have much more capability and expertise in doing that. So the logic is you outsource that work to us, and we integrate with your IT department, and to make sure that side of your business, that side of the IT department is managed by both of us, right? In a kind of partnership. And then the last part we came up with, just for you guys for your consideration, is in the campaign, we're going to start talking a lot about, because I guess the biggest fear or the biggest hurdle to selling co-managed oftentimes is that the internal IT department is resistant and views us as a threat. So what we believe is true as we develop this campaign, and you guys can do, is I think one good marketing campaign we can all do is talk about, in these co-managed environments, how does the working relationship function so that the business gets the benefit and the IT department feels like we're basically in partnership with them, right? So I think a big part of the campaign we're going to put through is be talking about how the working relationship, day-to-day working relationships between the IT department and us function and work, and what kind of benefit does that bring to the IT department. So the only reason we wanted to, like, our thought here was to get at least on 2 pieces of paper all the things you need, basically the value proposition for outsourcing, right? And so I would appreciate, let me just pause there. Does anybody have any insights on a co-managed outreach that you did that had some really good outcome or reaction? First of all, how many people have done outsourcing? I mean, co-managed campaigns so far?
I have.
Who's that, Sean? Okay. What was the pain points that you were actually targeting in that campaign?
The biggest thing is we had to do 2 different things, because we had to do for leadership as in CEOs and CFOs, and then we had to do a separate one that was directed to your CTOs, CIOs, and IT managers, because the wording you're going to give for this one is not going to be the same that you're going to have for this one, because as soon as you send that to an IT manager and they're like, oh, they want my job, they're not going to give it to the CEO or anything like that. They're not going to see it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we have, what we have stated all along is that, the IT is the backbone, but, we just want to strengthen your team. That's all. We want to be a extension of your IT team. And that's really given us a lot of, people are wanting that. We have quite a few that we are co-managed with, and, it really does work for us. A lot of things that we have noticed is that we get a lot of project work. Now, and you see that when you said outsourcing, a lot of stuff they outsource is project work, and we do a lot of project work. So
that's good point, actually.
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes when you say outsourcing, it's going to be maybe some project work, maybe they can't do it. Co-managed to me is not just project work, it's the things that are not happening inside. So maybe they might not have that strategy and planning in place, or or maybe they need an escalation team or something like that because they don't have it in place. Their level of IT might not be that high, or they could be that low. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't feel like it's just one thing. I feel like it's a number of things.
Right. So, I think it's also, I think for a lot of the people, at least the 3 that are working so far, it's relatively standard offering. It's basically all of the stuff you do in managed services without the help desk.
The biggest thing that we did see was the work from home.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, because companies were not able to, a lot of companies were having problems with work from home. So bringing that capability and strategy of being able to work from home, because a lot of companies are not going, as in California, I should say, a lot of businesses are still not going back to the brick and mortar now, because they have found that you can work from home. So now there's a little bit more difference with their IT department that they're having to do.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things.
I think last time we were on, you and Randy, and you were describing that you had some conversations with people, like people on C sides of businesses, about co-managed, why they would need co-managed. What were the pain points you were hearing from the C side or the business side?
Depending on the type of, depending on certain businesses, we had one particular one that was all about the CEO and them felt that their IT department was not up to par. And then the second biggest one is that they felt like their security was not where it needed to be. So we were able to bring in a co-managed as into cybersecurity. Did this particularly for two nonprofits that we did. So we co-managed with them. We handled their cybersecurity and endpoint stuff. So that was a key one. A lot of people in California, it's so different over here. I just have to say, it is. I live in Florida, so it's very different. Yeah. So, and the other thing was planning, strategy, and planning and growing. That is one thing I could say Intivix is big with all of our clients, is the movement of IT and with the companies. And that's where we have come into play a lot with our co-managed, is the planning and strategy and movement of IT.
Okay. So I think I wanted to make this stuff available for all of you guys to use. I wouldn't mind any kind of comments or input on this. And maybe the way to look at it would be, I'm actually looking for better titles, first of all, but any kind of enhancements to this or any kind of suggestions to it, just please let me know. And then what we're going to do is, as we, Lucy looked like she had to go. So in Lucy's company, Marissa's company, and and Katie's company, we'll all be working on this stuff together. And as we develop the campaign structure and all that stuff, we'll send it out to you as we develop the actual kind of emails and content. We'll send it out to you, and you guys can leverage it and make suggestions and approve it as well. But I want to kind of together, between SDP and this group, is kind of march through a co-managed campaign and make it, see what we can kind of co-create and actually make it I would actually like to have us be the best in both the cybersecurity area and in the co-managed area. Okay, yeah, we're having a lot of vacations today, so my suggestion is that if we break for today, that I'm gonna make some suggestions about the topics that we'll cover in the next 2 sessions, just to give you an idea. We'll probably have some subject matter experts on the next 2, and then come back to the co-managed thing, actually in the next 1, and then come back to this co-managed thing and just kind of march it. Maybe we'll march back through both of those things, through cybersecurity and co-managed. So I appreciate everybody's time today. I'll get you back a little part of your day and make sure that we have a recording of everything here. Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to kind of wrap things up now, and I will send you out the recording, and I look forward to talking to everybody in 2 weeks. Sound good?
Sound good. Bye.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.